One of the most iconic parts of Minecraft would absolutely be its soundtrack. The near perfect OST is filled with beautiful ambient soundscapes, which feel calming but also lonely, a gorgeous reflection of the game's atmosphere. Although that's only the main background music, there is a collection of 21 songs that are a special other side to Minecraft's soundtrack, and that is, of course, the music discs. These are not the typical background songs that appear randomly and make you cry. The music discs are instead collectibles that you have to go out of your way to hunt down and listen to. And since these music discs are so separate in nature from the main soundtrack, they go a little crazy. She's so crazy, love her. With these music discs offering such great musical variety, I thought it would be super fun to rank them all. Now, music is one of the most subjective art forms out there, so a lot of this will just be my opinion. The only other thing I may factor in is how much the music disc works as a collectible, since these are hunted down just to hear new additions to the OST, but I'll mainly focus on the music. So get your jukeboxes crafted. This is Minecraft Music Discs Ranked. I will be ranking these in order, but I always think it's helpful to have a tier list, though this is mainly about the order. We will start with the D tier. This tier has 3 discs that should be pretty obvious, and they are, of course, the lore discs, 13, 11, and 5. These discs are actually really cool from the perspective of them being collectibles, as they offer some sort of lore to a pretty non-story based game, but they're still not going over genuine pieces of music. These discs are more just atmospheric soundscapes that aren't exactly that musical, and also
freaking creepy.
Okay, now let's start with 11. This disc is fucked up, bro. 11 is one of the most popular music discs in Minecraft, for obvious reasons. I think most who started playing early Minecraft have a memory of seeing this weird, tattered up disc, putting it in a jukebox, and then pooping themselves once it started. Out of the 3, 11 is definitely the most cryptic. Its narrative implies there's this dude, probably lost in a cave, breathing all heavy, fumbling around with stuff, and also coughing, which is my favorite part of the disc. There's also these messed up Enderman sounds and fast-paced running, which all keep getting more and more dramatic until the disc abruptly cuts off. The abrupt cutoff ends up just as scary as the actual sound effects, as it leaves so much unknown, which is a really nice touch. 11 does such a great job of being terrifying, even just through audio. It sounds like nothing else in the game, which makes it feel like it shouldn't be here, which is really neat for a collectible. 11 is a good scare and an iconic part of Minecraft, but past that, it's just a minute and a half of spooky sound effects. This is something you listen to once, have nightmares about, and never touch again. 11 is a cool collectible, but not a cool listen. Five is just the cooler 11. It has the same premise of having creepy sound effects that imply some sort of narrative unfolding, except 5's narrative is much more interesting than a guy tweaking out in a cave. 5 is found in the ancient city, so this gives you the lore of its origins. You can hear some sort of army marching around that opens up a portal, which ends up unleashing the Warden and Skulk. This is super fun to picture in your head while you listen, which is really helped by the insane sound design. Like when the portal opens up, and also when the Warden says it's skulking time and starts skulking all over the place. Like, Holy shit, how the hell do you even cook that up? Another bit about 5 that I like is that you have to search the ancient city for pieces of the disc. Then it all comes together to tell you the story of the environment's lore. That's so fucking cool, dude. You're actually piecing together clues to learn the game's lore. And also, there's a cough in this one too. My one problem with 5 is the music toward the beginning. It feels really disconnected from the rest of the disc and just breaks the immersion for a bit. But besides that, 5 is a great collectible that gives context to a really interesting area in the game. Not the best musically, but still super interesting to hunt down and super fun on the ears. Holy shit. 13 is my favorite of the numbered discs, and that's probably because it's the most musical of the 3. Instead of using a bunch of sound effects to tell a scary story, the focus is on these bells and chimes, which are drowned in reverb and echo. This reverb and echo, combined with just how many different notes are playing, create a really deep and expansive soundscape. And the depth and expansiveness of these notes remind me of echoing in the interior of a cave, which is obviously really fitting. 13 is really easy to get immersed in, and at times it actually sounds kind of beautiful. It's still very uncomfortable, but there's hints of melody and calmness, which sound super surreal. The beginning notes are a jump scare, but as 13 continues, it becomes almost meditative. The mix of being very unnerving while also very relaxing gives off a super unique vibe. I also like that from within the bells you can pick out sound effects like water splashing. And also the beginning of the disc is pretty funny. I did mention a lot of praises for this one, but it's still kind of a bunch of sounds that I don't really need to re-listen to. 13 is a haunting, yet also beautiful soundscape that is a great musical reflection of the game's caves. And now with those freaks out of the way, we can move on to the C tier. The C tier has some actual songs that are doing more musically than the D tier, but feel very shallow and boring in execution, and just don't do it for me. Who invited my man Blood? Bro think he's on the team. I've always been confused as to why Creator Music Box is even in the game. This one is just an alternate version of the disc Creator, but instead of using multiple instruments, it's just the music box. It's a cool concept, but not really that interesting in execution. I feel like Creator Music Box could have just stayed on the album as a cool bonus, but didn't really need to be an item in the game. Or maybe since the disc plays with the copper oxidation thing, maybe if you don't preserve Creator with honey, it could oxidize into this one, or the other way around. And as for the actual track, like I said, it's just not that interesting. One of the best parts about Creator is how amazing all of the unique instruments sound together. So Creator Music Box is just way less interesting. I mean, the melody is still fine, and I do kinda like the concept. Creator Music Box isn't really doing anything wrong, it's just an odd and sort of boring addition to the game. I thought Tears was gonna be so cool, dude. This disc was released alongside the Chase the Skies update, which had a lot of emphasis on the Ghast. So naturally, this was a Ghast-themed disc. The design of the disc reflects the Ghast really nicely, and you find it by killing a Ghast with its own fireball, which is such an iconic part of the mob. And speaking of iconic parts of the mob, this disc samples the Ghast's iconic sound effects, which is such a sick idea. All of the ideas were there, but as for the actual song, it's kind of really uninspired and basic. Tears goes for a hip-hop sort of vibe, similar to Pigstep, but it does it in such a boring way. The beat it uses feels very uninspired, and the beginning beat drop is just ridiculous. When I first heard this one, I was really into the Ghast sampling, and then I genuinely laughed at the beat drop. It's just so aggressively and generically hip-hop. It sounds like old YouTube intro music. As Tears goes along, it builds off the hip-hop vibe and sort of just forgets about the sampling. And when I say builds off the hip-hop vibe, it barely does that. A lot of the other instruments are just synths when there's so much more it could have done with the sampling of the gas noises. Like, why isn't the gas scream in here? That would have made for such a sick beat drop or something. This isn't a terrible song, it's really well made, but it just does absolutely nothing for me. I really wish the song leaned more into the sampling, or at least had a more inspired beat and instrumentation. Tears has such a cool premise, but its execution is unfortunately a little dry. The most recent addition to the Minecraft music disc catalog is a dubstep remix of Steve's Lava Chicken, which has a villager singing half of it and is also dropped by killing a chicken jockey. I hate it, and I love it. On one hand, it's the most stupid and basic dubstep song ever, but on the other hand, it's funny and I like it. I love how this disc just gets continuously more insane. It starts as an 8-bit remix and ends up as hardstep. The slowdown, build-up, beat drop section in the middle is in maybe every dubstep song ever, but it's also really funny and it makes me smile every time I listen to it. This disc is just so stupid, just like the movie it's from. And the more I think about it, this disc is on the same artistic analysis as the movie. It's really bad when critically looked at and incredibly basic, but it is not taking itself seriously. And if you don't either, it's kind of peak. Lava Chicken is the Minecraft movie in music form, and I will give it some laughs, but not the top of the list.
I have a small business too. The one thing I try to do is not have my jingles suck butt.
Holy retro, bro. I think Relic has some pretty fun ideas, but just feels pretty shallow as a whole. The most apparent thing about this one is its intro. It sounds really cheesy, but in a good way. It's a cute reference to retro gaming with the chiptune synth and triumphant feeling melody, hence the name Relic. Crazy, right? My favorite part of the disc is the section following the intro, where the melody continues at a quicker tempo with these drums coming in. I really like the contrast of the cheesy retro melody and then the clean drums, but after this section ends, the rest of the song is pretty boring. The song continues with these long, drawn-out notes with really uninteresting soloing. There's some cool moments, but I kind of just zone out and perk my head up if something sounds cool. Buford, you listening? And I did say the first half was better, but it does also rely on these long, drawn-out notes as well. I don't have too much else to add, which does kind of sum up my thoughts on the disc. Relic has a fun premise and intro, but the latter half of the song is really forgettable. Well, that's the last of the mid-music discs from the C tier. Next up is B tier, with some music discs that are pretty good. I do have some problems with these, but they're more interesting to listen to than the C tiers. C418 was feeling evil with this one. Malohai has a super mischievous tone to it that I think is captured really well in its shorter length. The harsh and crunchy texturing on the strings furthers the sketchy melody they play really nicely. I also really like the higher synth that comes in later. It has a lighter quality to it, which I think is a nice contrast to the deep, harsh melody which starts the song. It's still very sinister sounding though. It sort of feels like it's tiptoeing around. My favorite part of this one is what follows those synths though. It it offers a new melody to the song which cuts really deep after the higher synth leads up to it, and the song is already over. Yeah, Molohai is a bit of a short king. It sounds great, but it's not even 2 minutes, so it doesn't really get as much depth as some of the other discs. Molohai is short and sweet, but it really feels anything but sweet. It's short and evil. It's kind of funny that Blocks follows up Molohai, as this one's main problem is it being a little too long. But before I get into my problems with it, I do want to touch on the highlights, which it definitely deserves. Blocks is a journey. Its length allows for it to slow burn into some absolutely breathtaking moments. It starts with this sort of pulsing hook. This gives the beginning parts of the song a bit of a moving feel, which is later contrasted by these absolutely insane bell sections. It feels like the beginning's moving melody is like going out on a hike or adventure, and then the bell sections are the beautiful views you get along the journey. The beginning is very synth heavy and up-tempo, and the bell sections are much slower and limited in instrumentation, and the contrast is wild. The sections are large, grand soundscapes which are truly sublime. I feel like each of these sections gets better than the last, which is insane after just how hard the first one hits. I especially like the section that has these super deep strings. But yeah, the bell sections are ethereal, and the beginning is fun, but this song unfortunately has some cracks within it. I'm all for a slow burn, longer song, but when you have so much music, it does invite some potential for flaw. The slow burn isn't always super fun to listen to, and the beginning does get somewhat repetitive. There's still moments in this one which are overwhelmingly beautiful, but a lot that is just fine. Blocks isn't always the most fun to climb, but it has some absolutely ethereal peaks. And after talking about one of the shortest discs and one of the longest discs, the B tier is done. Now, the A tier. These discs aren't the best of the best, but are still absolutely amazing. Honestly, Precipice is right on the edge of B tier and A tier, so I do still have some problems with it. Precipice is my favorite of the new music discs that isn't made by the GOAT, Lena Raine though. This one has high highs and low lows. I think the first high is the intro to this song. It starts with bells, which is a super unique instrument choice, and then there's nasty synth and an even nastier beat drop. This throws the song into its fast tempo and full instrumentation. I think this fuller sound takes nice advantage of this one being a music disc. Precipice kind of reminds me of the music that was in the battle minigames, which is perfect for a disc from the Trial Chambers. It makes me wish Precipice was released sooner because it would have been perfect to have in Smash Ultimate with Steve's addition to the game, and so would Creator, I guess. Anyways, the song's main melody is pretty good, but it can get repetitive. The middle could have been cut down more, or at least switch up the melody more. It feels a little silly when it leads up to this big moment only for it to be the same melody again.
That's it?
There's at least some more instruments that come in to solo over everything, like the piano, which is easily my favorite part of the song. So fucking beautiful. And once the main melody gets pretty tiring, the song does switch up to a Moog City reference. yeah, this is actually epic. It's worked into the song really smoothly, and it's obviously going to sound great. It's the melody of Moog City. The section following this reference is also insane. All of the instruments in the song come back for a triumphant outro section, like you've conquered the challenges of the trial chambers. Again, I love the piano here. Precipice is a pretty cool disc. There is a few flaws in it, but I think they're small enough to make the disc pretty great overall. Otherside is another really fun disc, not only from its joyous beginning and thrilling ending, but just the whole concept of the disc itself. In Otherside, the main melody is switched up to a other side of it in a simple yet really effective way. The first half of Otherside has a really happy vibe from the major progression, and all of the supporting instruments do a great job of contributing to the vibe. I like the real sounding drums, guitar, and droning synth, but I especially love the horns. They might be my favorite part of the song. And of course, Otherside switches to its evil side. The progression goes from a major key to a minor key, and the song is completely flipped upside down. Again, it's so simple, but so effective. I really love the thrilling lead synth in this section, and the deeper synth is also really strong. I think the tonal shift is obviously really well done, but I also love how comfortable the beginning is, and how the ending sort of feels like it's leading you on, especially at the end where that deep synth abruptly stops. I may not love this one as much as others do, but I totally respect it. The ideas in Otherside are such a great example of taking an idea and bringing it to its fullest potential. A catchy melody which is slightly tweaked for big differences. Maul never fails to get me in the feels. It immediately starts with a gut punch as this slow, crackly marimba reverberates right into your soul. It is such a great hook, and instead of the disc staying so slow and moody, this crazy bongo drum beat comes in and gives the disc an entirely new tone as the main melody starts. I love the contrast of the somber melody with a really upbeat drum beat in the background. It creates a really interesting vibe. It's always reminded me of sitting in a moving car and getting all sentimental as you watch everything fly by. It's like everything around you is moving, but you just feel sunk.
Oh, wow. I need a minute to think about this.
Maul never goes super deep or wild with its melody and instrumentation, but it absolutely makes you feel something, and that's all you need. Maul is a simple song that absolutely crushes you with a super unique feeling. Far starts off as feeling quite a bit like the main background music, before slowly and subtly switching into something different. Like the main OST, it starts with a simple yet beautiful melody that is slowly built up and changed. Its hook is these majestic reverbed arpeggios, which is then built off of with strings, more bells, and a steel drum. The soundscape this all creates is so great. It gives off the same feelings the rest of the soundtrack does so well: wonder, curiosity, and yearning for adventure. But as Far continues, it goes a little medieval on us. A harp and piano join the instrumentation, and the introduction of these leads the song to its explosive ending. This cements Far as a music disc and not just another background track. I really love the vocals that come in at this part. It really furthers the grand feeling it's going for, especially with how high of a note it hits. Far kind of feels like setting off on an adventure, and then the payoff of creating something with whatever you may find. Far is an ethereal, powerful disc that does what the main soundtrack does so well, with a little music disc flair. Chirp is another disc with two really different sides, like Other Side, but instead of switching up the melody, it does a full-on genre switch. The first half of Chirp is this crackly, worn-out bossa nova beat, which definitely didn't scare me as a kid. Anyways, this part is really great and kind of just works as its own thing. My favorite part of this half of the song is the less distorted synth that comes in later. It's a great cap on the first section, as it sort of answers the wackier beat with a clearer, more defined melody. And then the switch up in Chirp is so wild every time. Like, come on. You go from crackly bossa nova to this clean, spacey EDM beat. The contrast is so insane, but it somehow works so well. And this second part of the song is also awesome. It's just a great EDM beat with some cool bell sounds, descending melodies, and a pulsing bass. It gives me this sort of flying feeling with the movement and the melody and the echoing on the notes. The two parts of Chirp are very different from one another, but weirdly work together so nicely. The two never really interact with each other, which in a way brings them closer to serving their musical function. They are completely opposite, which connects them. It's cool stuff. Chirp is fantastic in both of its wildly different sections, with a switch up between them that never gets old. Stampy Cat has good taste. And now we arrive at the S tier. There are a whopping 7 songs in S tier, and yeah, for standard tier list, this might be too many, but I think these songs absolutely deserve this level of respect. Now, I might be the first person to ever say this, but Pigstep is kinda good. Pigstep is famous for being the first disc not made by C418 and also being fucking awesome. Pigstep was released alongside the Nether update, so being tied to a whole different dimension, it went for a way different vibe for Minecraft. Pigstep takes on a hip-hop dubstep sound with dirty synths and a really punchy drum beat. There's also this added crackle over everything, which really furthers the sketchy feel the song goes for. It also reminds me of Burning Fire, which is not only reminiscent of the Nether, but how fire the song is. My favorite part of Pigstep is, of course, anytime that sound plays, it is just the hardest hitting part of the song, like the first beat drop or that full stop in the middle.
Drop the drum! It's okay, nigga. I got the shit!
I also really appreciate the beginning of the song where there's no melody and it's kind of just the crackling beat. But speaking of that melody, it is really great and really memorable. I'll actually catch myself humming Pigstep quite a bit. Pigstep is just great. I don't know what else to say. It's probably one of the most iconic Minecraft songs now, and it definitely deserves that spotlight. I cannot think of a better disc to be the first after C418. Making a disc for the Nether is a perfect evolution of the music disc concept, and Lena Raine cooked with its execution. You either love Stall or you hate Stall, and I love it. Stall is a jazz song in Minecraft, which isn't for everyone. But the real reason Stall is so divisive is the inclusion of just one instrument, that damned recorder. Not only is Stall a really solid jazz track, but it subverts jazz by having a recorder as a main instrument. While everything else is smooth and slick, the recorder is the silliest and clunkiest thing. And I get why people may not like this, but I personally love it. The contrast of smooth jazz and a horrible recorder is actually great. It's funny, but still musical. It also makes for such a unique vibe. The smooth jazz with an awkward recorder just has a really unexplainable feeling to it. But the recorder is really only a bit of the song. The main focus of the song is, of course, jazz, and it's actually really solid jazz. The brush drums sound really nice here and carry some of the highest moments of the song, like the full stop or the ending. The bass is also really great. It's what starts the song, which is a perfect tone setter for Stall. The bass also ends off the song with the drums, which is a nice full circle. The saxophone and piano do some jazz phrasing together, and the piano leads really nicely to the switch up in the song, which is a really cool guitar solo. Stall is a really good jazz track, which subverts jazz with its clunky recorder, with multiple high points throughout its runtime. How could Cat not be in the top 5? Cat is the only other disc to spawn in basic loot chests besides, So this one kind of became the music disc, and it definitely deserves that. As much of a really weird first impression this song has, Cat starts off like it's gonna be really weird and maybe kind of annoying. There's just so many notes echoing over each other that all sound really dissonant and don't exactly mix together at all. But then something starts to change. The notes make more sense. Then the lead synth comes in, and the song clicks into one of the happiest songs in the game. Cat feels really reminiscent, like all of the joy and wonder you get while playing Minecraft. It has so much hope, wonder, and is very sentimental. It reminds me of how Christmas music makes you feel about Christmas, except for Minecraft, if that makes any sense. It's just so cozy and happy. It makes for such a great song to have while you run around your base. And besides the nostalgia, a lot of feel in this song comes from some cool stuff in the melody. The main melody uses notes that feel sort of off. Not that anything in music is wrong, but there's notes in the melody that feel really out of place, but they're still really nicely woven into the melody. It's such a cool musical thing. It makes the song feel really goofy and playful, like it's just dancing around, not exactly caring about how right everything is, but just how fun everything is. And I think that's a really cool reflection of Minecraft's gameplay. There isn't exactly a right way to play Minecraft, just the way that's most fun to you. And like the intro of Cat, Minecraft may seem kind of weird at first, and then it suddenly warms up to you. And that's kind of how a cat acts as well. It's still kind of hard to put Cat into words. That's just how great it is. It brings tears to my eyes. No, not that crap. Cat is Minecraft in musical form. It goes all over the place in a bunch of weird ways, but it is still so overwhelmingly fun, happy, and nostalgic. Ward has a unique, darker tone to it, but an instrumentation and composition that goes all over the place, making for a lot of high points throughout it. I really like how this song starts with a sample of Chopin's Funeral March. It makes for quite the tone setter. I also love how this sample is immediately contrasted with the 8-bit arpeggios, and these arpeggios are so awesome. They've always reminded me of falling rain as they slowly descend, which also really fits the tone of the song. The chiptune drums and ghostly synth also build off the arpeggios really nicely. The first section is so awesome. It's very atmospheric, maybe like you're in some sort of abandoned ward. But of course, the bastard C418 does it again. Ward switches from this slow and moody atmosphere to up-tempo and funky. Doesn't really seem like it would work, but it really does. The main melody eventually returns over this beat and is recontextualized by the swing rhythm. Again, it makes a really super unique vibe, which C418 is just really good at with these discs. One of my favorite switch-ups in Ward is probably when the bell comes in. It completely cuts off the song's rhythm, and it hits so hard. I also love the really deep note that hangs on after the song starts up again. Ward is so fun to listen to. It takes an eerie, spooky tone and goes absolutely wild with it. Once you think you're done with Ward, it hits you with its biggest switch up yet. Those descending arpeggios from the beginning are now beautifully recontextualized in a major key, and the song slowly builds up its rhythm once again. This ending section is so pretty, and the subversion is really nicely done. I love how the song's darker tone gets capped off with a sort of light at the end of the tunnel. It's not the longest section, but it completely switches up the song. Ward has so many high points, as its composition is taken absolutely everywhere. We making it out of the trial chambers with this one. Creator is one of the most unique songs in Minecraft, and it goes stupid crazy. I'd best describe Creator as a steampunk waltz, and yeah, it's as badass as it sounds. The composition achieves a really unique, jaunty sound through a masterful blend of its instruments. There's strings, accordion, classical guitar, light synth, and tight drums, and each of these contributes to the song so fully. Every time the drum hits a cymbal or hi-hat, it feels like a little puff of air coming out from some machine. And the classical guitar, it might be my favorite part of this song. I love the picking style so much. It's so tasty on the ears. And of course, there is one other guitar in this song. When that electric guitar picks up the main melody, this song that is filled with so much energy just explodes with even more energy. It brings the song to a whole other level, and it hits so hard every time. It is insane just how much energy and power every last note, beat, and instrument have in this composition. It is so exciting, and the time signature and mysterious melody add so much interest to the piece. I haven't even said anything about the music box in this song. I love how it plays the main melody really slowly before rapidly speeding up. A music box playing really quick isn't something you hear a lot, so it works really well as a hook. And also that ending when you think the guitar is gonna end off just before it switches back to the music box for a full circle ending. Hell yeah. I think Creator might be the most orchestral disc. Everything is fulfilling its purpose to the highest quality. Creator is a powerful, tight, and masterful composition where nothing goes wasted. I'm not sure what Lena Raine was on when she made this, but Creator is by far the best of the modern music discs. Having Strad of all discs so high might be a bit of a surprise pick, but this one has just always really resonated with me. I will admit, Strad is another music disc that sounds pretty similar to the main background music, kind of like Far does, but also like Far, Strad has a subtle build-up throughout it that eventually turns it into something far beyond the main soundtrack. Strad has one of the most gorgeous blends of instruments in the game's entire soundtrack. I did just call Creator one of the most orchestral discs, but Strad might have it beat. Strad most noticeably has a steel drum, as this is what starts off the song. I love the melody it plays and how the lower and higher parts weave in and out of each other, and the addition of the bells alongside it add a sort of mystery and intrigue to the melody, which sets up the rest of the song really nicely. There's also these strings, which I think might be called Strads. The strings are one of my favorite parts of the disc. They feel so overwhelmingly powerful as they grandly swoop over the main melody. It gives me chills. My other favorite part of Strad is the drums. The song uses bongos and a chopped up chiptune drum in one of the most emotional ways I have ever heard a percussion line sound. The song starts out with the bongos, which sound so earthy and clean, and then that chiptune drum slowly takes over and sounds so unnatural unnatural and robotic. The slow replacement of this earthy, tribal sounding instrument with this unnatural clicking and glitching chiptune hits really hard. The contrast of swooping, beautiful strings and earthy steel drum as the chiptune clicks and glitches is actually unreal. And this replacement kind of makes me think about the themes that might be coming up in Strad. Perhaps it shows the evolution out of nature into more futuristic cities, how you go from a tree to a villager labor camp. And this is all just through a drum line. The way the drums end off the song as well is actually stunning. The bongos come back with a heightened passion, harsher and louder than ever, before abruptly stopping. Beautiful isn't enough for Strad, and neither is sublime or ethereal or anything. Strad is like a main background song put on steroids, which is definitely a music disc I want to hunt down. But yes, as much as I just drooled over Strad, there is still one more music disc I think is the best. Before I even get to the overall analysis of Wait, I just want to focus on the beginning of this song, because it is my favorite intro to any song in the game. The intro's metronome-like clicking literally makes you wait for the song to start, and once it does, it engulfs you with its main melody. It hits so hard every time, but then the metronome comes back again, and it creates one of the most emotional beat drops I have ever heard. I mean, come on, this intro is just the best. I love how the open, reverberated arpeggios switch to the full instrumentation with the drums and bass. And even though the intro is probably my favorite part of the song, it keeps up this quality all the way through. Wait's main melody sort of reminds me of the melody in Cat, which is a really good thing to be compared to. Like I said with Cat, its melody has notes that feel a little off in an otherwise major melody. And in Wait, there's a few minor notes, which makes a really strong bittersweet feeling. There is another reason Wait's melody hits so hard, and it's kind of a big one. Wait actually remixes the main theme of Minecraft. A lot of music discs actually use the main Minecraft theme as a motif, but Wait seems to use it as its main structure. And the game's theme is so perfect that any rendition of it is going to sound ethereal. And yeah, Wait sounds ethereal. Perhaps the best melody ever. I think this makes for such a perfect collectible item. A more upbeat remix of the game's main theme kind of speaks for itself. Again, the chiptune drum in the song just does it for me. I must like chiptune drum because it's been in my top 5 choices. And that slower section is actually unreal. The fuzzy synths, bass, and chiptune drums slow down into this drawn out, clean soundscape, and the payoff is stunning. As much of a tone shift as this is, I really love how long the song stays here. It gives you time to just get lost in the soundscape and really feel the feels. And just as you get sucked in a little too deep, that chiptune drum slowly starts creeping in, urging you to keep going, until fully taking over and going absolutely crazy with the drum beat to end off the song. Wait makes me feel things harder than any other disc. I feel like it's a song about time. The song is literally named Wait, and the song starts with a sound similar to a metronome, a device used to measure time. It also makes you wait for the song to start before there's a bit of payoff for your patience. The main melody has that bittersweet quality to it, and that slower section allows you to get lost and reflect, but then that chiptune drum keeps moving everything forward. I think this time analogy connects really nicely to Wait being the last disc listed under C418 in the game. It works for such a nice tonal send-off to the genius work he put into the game's music. Wait does kind of have a sort of credits theme vibe to it. I really love Wait. The intro is one of my favorite starts to a song in the whole soundtrack. The main melody is so emotionally striking. The drums, bass, and background synths are so beautiful. The slow section and transition out of it are so well done and immersive. And it being a remix of the main theme is a perfect collectible and a perfect goodbye to the game's original composer. It is also a perfect goodbye to this ranking, as Wait is the best music disc in Minecraft. Minecraft has an amazing OST, from the ambient background music to, of course, its diverse collectible music discs. The discs are really able to branch out and touch on musical themes that could only be in rare collectibles. Scary sound effects that make you poop yourself, a smooth jazz track with a silly recorder, a bossa nova and EDM mix, a steampunk waltz with shredding guitar, or a dubstep remix of a Jack Black song. I think these parts of the soundtrack often go overlooked, which is obviously because they're optional collectibles, but they're the part of Minecraft that is fully about music. These songs are all wonderful changes of pace from the main soundtrack. They cover a wide range of music, and that means that any ranking of these discs kind of just comes down to taste. This list was just my opinion, but everyone's going to be unique, which is the beauty of discussing art like Minecraft music discs. This was a really fun ranking to do. It got me to appreciate these tracks more, and deciding the order of them got pretty brutal at times. But thank you for watching. This has been Minecraft Music Discs Ranked.